Welcome back, everyone. We are on episode 7 of Educational Reforms. So far, we looked into a variety of gaps we have and the disadvantages with our current system. We also looked at how NEP tried to solve it. Some of it successful, some of it not so successful. So we have Arvinda again back on the show. So Arvinda is going to cover what an ideal education framework will look like with his own view and vision, and of course his expertise. So with that, I'll welcome Arvinda onto the show. Welcome, Arvinda, and the floor is yours.
Thanks, Giri, once again, bringing back to the continuation of the whatever so far discussion we did. Very fruitful discussion, I would say. When we started, I never had an idea like we'll go through this much of depth of information because I had discussed in different forums in a very minimum couple of points we discussed. Then I couldn't continue beyond 2 sessions, but we are now in the 7th episode. That means we are really having a very wonderful discussion. Hopefully, it reaches to the eyes and ears of some people who are responsible who can take it forward. So, starting with our left from our previous episode, so we were discussing about
Do you want to share the
yeah,
slide deck?
started.
Yeah,
Are you able to see my screen?
yeah.
Okay, so we were discussing about what should NEP should do. It should redefine the purpose and rediscover. So I told about 4 areas where we need to minimally look at the language policy. We need to look at the social science learning seriously, math and science, and then physical education. These are the 4 areas I stress, like grade 1 to 8. Only these many things we should start defining as a very minimum, basic minimum education. So that's where we ended in the previous episode. Continuing on that, so I have these slides I will upload in a Google Drive where I have questioned myself and try to find out answers. So how did I go through? So look at I just started with current education system. So what are the current way of learning and what are the positives and negatives? Then I
I, I,
started, yeah,
I just want to remind viewers that this slide deck will be available on a
yeah,
Google Drive link. Please make sure you go through the description of this episode and yeah, use the link to go through the slides yourself.
details.
Yeah.
So I won't go through like each point, but how I went through this journey of coming up with these concepts and philosophy. So first of all, I started listing down the current system, why it is we always talk about negative of the current system, and then I started questioning myself, like, is there a possibility to have a common framework? I have looked at the Jiddu Krishnamurthy's methodology. I have a new schools coming up in Bangalore with a new way of learning. I have gone to Aravindo kind of education in Pondicherry. And anyway, I have gone through schooling in the normal Kannada medium, English medium, then 12th, then BSc, MCA, MS. So I have gone through the normal system. So I have always going through that in our coffee discussions about our system is bad. So that question always pondering me and then trying to find out, is there really a possibility to come with a common way of learning for all the students across the country? So that was another question. And always there will be discussion on primary should be education should be free. That was one of the points always keep on coming up in my mind. Many people discuss about it. So this is a socialistic approach, not socialistic approach. We need to find, if our goal is very clear, every individual with quality and affordable education in formative years, it should be immaterial whether government runs or private runs institutions. The
Mhm.
problem we are having is we are confused with what should be taught in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and all this way out. So far, whatever we discussed, gaps and everything, because of that, we are not able to define whether education, what should be the cost of education. Like, we are spending
Mhm.
so much money for primary education, but we are not getting the actual fruits of it. So these are the questions I try to answer myself. So can we define a common framework which can adapt to the new technologies and economical needs of the country of large population? Then I defined myself goals. What should be the goals of the new education system? So I have come up with a very broad goals to come up with this solution. whatever I am talking about. So all the gaps were identified, and then I defined to bridge those gaps. If we keep these goals, these kind of goals, probably we'll be able to solve the actual problems. That was my
So, so
approach.
this was the kind of inputs you had to define the
Yes.
framework. Okay.
Yes. This is these inputs. One is my personal experience and my thinking and my reading and my background. The other is discussing with like people like you or in my friend circle or in education forums or in experience with my daughter and son education. So based on that experience, I have defined this should be the goal so that it applies to, hopefully it will help the solve the problems. So then I come up with, so when we have a goals, then we have to, I redefine the purpose. So purpose should be personality development, communication skills, how do we integrate art, scientific temperament, character and behavior, social development. These are the 6 areas that I kept in my mind when I try to understand the gaps and then try to come up with a solution. So, if we are able to understand this purpose, probably our solutions will be more in line with what I am talking about. Maybe better solutions, people, because people will have much better ideas.
Maybe if you can just give the gist of this slide in a 1 or 2 sentences, that would help, because the purpose is, I think, very important to understand what is the solution you are proposing.
So, the what I'm talking about per personality development. So, you can't have subjects to develop personality. So, you need to have methodology where personality gets developed with interacting with the people or doing some activity or doing some understanding failures or so that kind of approach, if we are able to come up for the personality development, then our education system will be much better off than what we are talking about. Example, if you are using a art as a medium of learning language, personality will automatically develop because person will be involved in interacting with the multiple people, doing some play or doing some story or doing some activity rather than learning Kannada. So he'll be learning Kannada as well as doing an activity, and his personality also will develop because teamwork is required. You need to manage you need to reply immediately, you need to react to the situation. So the medium of learning, if you are able to define properly and content is based on that philosophy, then automatically personality will be developed. That's
Mhm.
what is my understanding. So similarly, communication skill. So same, when you develop personality, if you are able to make the child to understand the importance of talking or speaking or communicating in different methodologies, then he will be communications will be definitely much better than current approach. Like you start with a word, learning a word, letters, then you start understanding writing a letter, then you start sentences, then you keep talking. Instead of that, you start talking. You use a methodology to learn language and social science in such a way, his communication skill will be automatically improved. So these are some of the, what should I say? I From my experience in different theater background, in dance and in computer science, teaching different students, I find communication skill is the most important skill that we are missing in the schools. So personality, communication skill, and art is important. Instead of keeping art as a subject, if you're able to integrate learning of some subjects with through art, definitely it will help the individual to grow. So scientific temperament, very, very important, but we are misunderstood from the colonial mindset. Science means science, physics, chemistry, and mathematics. No. Science means Vishesha Jnana. So any approach, questioning is not scientific temperament, rational. Questioning and finding an answer is scientific temperament. The problem we learn from whatever so-called communist or socialist, like they will say questioning. Questioning is not temperament. Questioning is only you question, but you have to find an answer. I am not responsible to find an answer for you. You have to find an answer for yourself. So that should be the temperament that should be built in the school. Current approaches, like they will teach, they will make you to learn like, oh, you start questioning, you will become a rationalist, you irrational, rational. They will confuse students and they will try to drag you to different way of learning.
Oh.
So, and character building, behavior, social development, I won't say this is all subject dependent. If you're able to build an honest system, for example, if the schools are not taking cash as the donation or two forms of donation. One, they will take cash to avoid the taxes and all. If you are not, if you are able to build a system where that kind of approach, mindset people run the schools, then probably character and behavior will change. So if the education system is honest, they will, obviously people will come out will be honest. Currently, the system itself is corrupt, so people coming out of it will be correct. So that is the approach we need to start taking in when we define the content and approach and everything.
So you're also calling for social change as part of the education system.
It will change. Current approach has changed the mindset for 5 decades or 6, 7 decades, whatever we did. From the British started this kind of new schooling. If you're able to change our approach and it is more skill based and more self driven approach, definitely the social aspects is going to change, because he will be start looking at more local. He'll understand the languages better. He'll be more confident. Instead of like 21 years, you finish engineering, 22 years, you come out and say, okay, MNC has fired me. I don't know what, I don't have any other skill. I don't have any other job. So that kind of problem should not come if we follow this some of the fundamental principles.
Okay.
So these are the thinking that based on that, I have come up with a approach where you define level 1, grade 1 to 3, what should be taught, how should be taught, and grade 4 to 8, what should be taught, how should it be taught, and grade 8 to 12, 9 to 12, 4 years. So what should be taught? How do we integrate skills into this areas? So I have defined very clearly like what methodology should be used, whether to use art or technology, or what should be evaluation techniques. We should come with a more detailed solution, but I have given a very broad area of solution to these grades.
So if you had to pick one or two key things that are different from what we are doing in the current education system, what is it that you would pick from the proposal that you have?
Most interesting for me also, for me very interesting subject, social science. So if you redefine the purpose for this, it should create awareness of his surroundings. History, geography and civics knowledge helps to shape an individual to form opinion about his or her past, present and future. Create sense of belongingness to his or her family, community, place and civilization. Create curiosity to know the past and build a beautiful future, because past tells us what we should do in present or what we should not do. So if this is my purpose, and what should not be purpose? So we should not be working about reading and writing or drawing skills. Picture of a Shivaji, right? Picture of fort. That should not be our purpose. If you are able to clearly define this kind of an approach, then how do we achieve this? I would say completely use a technology where AI driven technology will help me to learn each area from ground. For example, let me go to the next slide. So if we start learning social science from grade 4, assume grade 1 to 3 doesn't require social science. Grade 4, so if you say content prescription sample, so if you say history, geography and civics, so grade 4 he will be learning about his family, his house, residence, hostel, school coordinates in grade 4. In grade 5, he'll be looking at the next level where his house resides, where is the area or a village or a next taluk. From taluk, he will go to the district. From district, he'll go to the state. And then you go to the nation. Then you go to the continent. By grade 8, you will be knowing about the world. Grade 8 or 10 or whatever. So the platform will help an individual to generate content for his family's information, his school information, who started the school, what is the name of his school, what is the area that school resides, any temple next to the school, any monument next to the school. All those things can be, technology can help him to identify, and then he can write using technology, he can record a video of the monument, or he can voice over, or he can do editing, or he can do so many things with respect to his learning. So grade 4, you integrate technology with learning social science and grow from local to global. So I will learn Maharashtra state next after learning my state. after learning my district. So, so I will learn about Mangalore after learning Bangalore because I'm learning Bangalore. So that should be our approach. So you have to
So you are
understand the geography of local area, demography, geography, everything of local area. Where is your ward? Where is your taluka office or district office? Those are the information to be learnt in grade 6, his taluk.
mhm.
Next, he has to learn about state. So each history, civics, geography, completely you take out the content prescription from the current approach where I will give my coordinates. My coordinates will start generating content from the framework, and I can also add my own content, my self evaluation. You can create a group. The school has a group, the class has a group. It can group can generate a content, then they can have a competition among their content. The same content can be done in a different way from some other student. So there could be so many ways of bringing in learning methodologies into the this subject. So if you are
So
able
you
to
are
come up with a very beautiful solution for this, we can remove this uninterested subject and to make into an interesting subject.
so you're basically going for staged education where every stage you are covering the immediate surroundings and you keep on
Yes,
expanding that as you go
yes,
through the different grades.
yes.
Okay,
How do you
interesting.
expand? The framework might give you some info. For example, when I try to learn Mysore district, it might give me like Mysore kingdom was ruled by so many kings and so many other things can be come from the framework. But I'll pick up my own understanding and then I'll start putting my own content. Maybe I'm a good reader. I will read some history books, different books, and then collect that content and put it to the content. I can suggest the framework. This is the new history of Mysore or new history of a king. Please take it. If it is approved, it could be part of a larger content. So it could be a continuous generation of a content.
Yeah.
And it could be in a different, very creative ideas. People will come up with very creative ideas if you give them a freedom and technology. They might do a skit to, about a king. They might do a skit about their own geography. They will find different ways of learning if you are able to come up with that approach. This is a one change I would strongly suggest. If you are able to bring it, it will change. So here, see, there is no restriction of language because I am driving my local content. I am not trying to understand Afghanistan history or something now, or
Mhm.
some US history. So I don't need English. So when
Right.
I learn Maharashtra, maybe I need some Marathi words, but not actually Marathi. I can learn in Kannada once. So that
Okay.
is the one solution I thought through. And different subjects I have come up with this kind of an approach. What should be for grade 1, level 1 and level 2 and level 3. There are 3 levels of education I have defined. Grade 1 to 3 is one level. Grade 4 to 8 is one level. And 9 to 12 is one other level.
It's very detailed. I think you have captured uh, a lot of those ideas on
Yeah,
science, social studies, maths, and also based it on grading, location, so many things. I hope
yeah.
people will find it interesting and actually take time to understand that.
Hope somebody understand and takes it forward. At least they should
Sure.
listen all the videos.
Mhm.
And I have come up with couple of papers from the beginning in 2018-17 onwards. So first I defined an objective. Then what should be the administrative structure? What should be the structure of the education? What should be the suggestions on the current policy? Then as I discussed with you, like one example for history, civics and geography, how should it
Yes. Yeah.
evolve the content? And some implementation ideas like schooling complex, something as they have taken from my paper because they were talking about school complexes in each district or something. So, and NEP and 2020 beyond, and this presentation one I have did it for one of the chairman of the committee asked me like, you give a presentation, then I will send it to the appropriate people. So I sent this presentation. It reached somebody, but I didn't get back. I didn't get any response back. So anybody can go through these papers. I will share the link in the comments or wherever, and I'll share my email ID. People can connect with me with my phone number also. And um, final, I would like to say I have listed down couple of actions that can be started from the higher level. For example, so ministry should start focus only on the grade 1 to 8 primary education. So they have to take the NEP, take only 8 years, give a new dimension to education, then start working towards it. And I would say mandatory schooling should be 6 to 13, 8 years, like what we discussed, Bharatiyata way of education.
Mhm.
So it should start from age 6 and 13 years when he is matured enough, when he can think about taking different topics. So he should be able to, that mandatory schooling should end. It should be only half a day, it should not eat the whole day. So other half a
Mhm.
day, okay, let them continue with the old system. Like other half a day, you continue with the new old way of learning. Slowly, we should fade out the old way of learning and introduce the skills. And he should be able to associate with any other organization, any other art school or any other school. So half a day, he can think about, he or she can think about associating with other schools. So as I told in one of the previous slides, mandatory schooling. So reading and writing is one skill which we cannot miss, but that is not the primary aim. Communication skill, language skills, thinking skills, and life skills. These are the 5 areas that we have. The somebody who is working in the education ministry should start when we redefine NEP 2020. They should focus on only this kind of areas. Not about, okay, you add art subject, okay, you would add Bharatanatyam, you add Kathakali and all those things as subjects as part of the curriculum. That should not be our approach. The next action, I would say, second half of the mandatory schooling should be optional and reserved for skill development. So the morning 4.5 hours schooling or evening 4.5 hours schooling is mandatory. Other half, the student parents can decide if he is a very good at, if you are able to identify as a very good sportsman, he can go to the sports school half a day or full day, then only this mandatory schooling he can take it anywhere. So we should have a very flexible system. So the software solution will help to integrate the skill development centers and institution into student schooling career. This should be very robust solution helping you to integrate the entire your career, entire education system. The other actions, 14 to 17 age, 4 years as higher primary education and completely optional. Optional in the sense, it is not the current way of, like, you have a science stream, you have a social stream, you have a account stream and all. So 14 to 17, he will choose subjects and remaining subjects are skill development. So if he is taking science skills as one of the areas, then it will be science skill development. It is not about I need to take competitive exams. I need to take. So at the age of 14, he should not be working on competitive exams. He should be working on developing
Mhm.
skills. So
It's
pre-university, yeah,
what's interesting is you're not saying it's just some idealistic framework. You're actually giving some specific steps on how we can tweak the current system. So
exactly.
I think, yeah, I hope it reaches the right people and they can bring these changes. But
Hopefully.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first step. I was from so many years I was trying to reach to the people, but I thought making these episodes might help to publish it and then try to follow up. So hopefully
Mhm.
it reaches. So
So,
I would say this current approach of 11 to 12 pre-university should completely scrapped or slowly it will fade away if you are able to come with a very new system. And relevant government departments, what we need to do in the long run, all this, like, 10 should be passed or pre-university should be passed. All those mandatory steps should be reduced because,
mhm.
as I told you, each person will evaluate you and then on based on skills he will take it, right? Then why he should be passed 10th standard, pre-university. Like, see, you take IIT's exams, everything they do, mains they do advanced, then only they will take. What is a mandatory? Somebody should pass PUC.
Mhm.
Anybody can take IIT exam. If he is capable, let him take. Only age. If for some exam, for NDA or defense, some age restrictions. Otherwise, there should not be even age restriction also. Anybody can take IIT exam. He can go to IIT if he is capable of it. Why should be mandatory? PU board is mandatory, 75% mandatory in those boards. It is of no use.
I think there is
So,
a big responsibility on society also to accept and make some of these changes.
yeah,
Today,
if
a
you
lot
see,
of the uh,
come from the
yeah,
top-down approach, for example, if clerical grade exam, if you mandate clerical grade exam, 10th has to be passed. So somebody who wants to take that exam, whether he's capable or not, he will try to cheat in 10th exam. He wants to pass 10th exam. So what I'm telling is you have a good evaluation criteria for your clerical grade. If that criteria is good, you have a good mechanism, then why the certificate is required? So he will not cheat to pass that certificate. So you evaluate. If it's good, you take him. Otherwise, don't take him. So as I told you, like if you're able to in his career, grade one to grade 3, you have proper mechanisms where he has recorded his skills and he has proof of his skills. I'll look at those skills and then I'll say, okay, let him take the grade exam. So we have to come up with a more rational approach where to bring honesty into the system. If you don't give a scope for cheating, probably the system will become honest. So take an exam. I don't want to name any state. Some states, people are die to pass matriculation exam because they want to go to government job. So they do all this copying. There is a big mafia, paper leakage, so many things. How do you remove that? Remove that dependency. There is no 10th pass. I don't take 10th pass candidate. I will take if you have those skills. I will evaluate and take it. So that should be our approach. Second, so relevant departments again. So there will be a virtual education board. So it's a comprehensive technological solution to the entire education system. So his career, skill development, everything can be tracked, monitored, everything can be, he can only define. So we can even develop a device or a tab or a laptop specifically for schooling grade 1 to 12. So we can dream of having a schooling in every student hands. So entire schooling can be driven by AI-driven platform, which can be associated with any type of school board skill development. Device is associated with a robust server backend supporting entire his education career. So his education journey can be driven by this solution. Solution can be completely sponsored, free for schools, boards, individual teachers, students who are part of an education journey. Future extra services can be charged to schools or individuals. I can share blueprint of the entire solution if I get connected to relevant responsible people in power or industry. So I can imagine a school at my hand where I go to this mandatory schooling 1 to 8 for some school, and after half a day I go to another tuition center or sports or swimming center or some other center, and that is also associated with my solution. And grade 9 to 12 I choose my subjects. One subject I'll choose online, 3 subjects I'll go to college, or I'll have many flexibilities to take up ITIs also start from grade 9. So I don't need 12th pass at all. I will start my ITIs in the school itself from grade 9 to 12. So all the skill development. So I'm a dance student, grade 1 to 8, mandatory schooling. Half a day I'll go to the school. Another half a day I'll go to a dance school and then learn the dance. It could be minimum percentage. Only 1% might go to dance or art or another field. But that 1% will excel. It might become 2%, 3% over the future if it becomes very simple.
Just doing a time check. I think we're close to
Yes.
the
I
half
think
an
we
hour
are
mark.
done
Okay.
with our objective. And okay, this is very specific to the administrative side. So probably we don't need to detail out here. If somebody reaches out, probably I can go through in detail. So what should be the administrative structure? And one thing, last point I would like to touch upon, the current approach is not Varna concept in mind. Means Varna means not Varnashrama, whatever they discuss about Manusmriti and all those things. It is about Guna. Means right now we are not learning or developing based on the individual's Guna. That means what is his strength, what is his area of interest. He is not able to develop properly. So in the olden days, when we don't have this mandatory schooling, 1 to 10, people used to go to some guru's house and learn. If you are a carpenter, he will learn carpentry. Minimum reading and writing he will learn, but he will live a successful life because he would have become an expert carpenter. So the current system is carpenter is drawn to school. He has to pass 10th standard, 12th standard, and he is pressurized. So he will not become a good carpenter, nor he will become a good whatever new methodology, whatever you're talking about, 10th standard, he will not make a good percentage, he'll try to get a government job. So full of confusion. So we have to focus more on individual guna. How do we make it? I have given solutions for grade 1 to 8. Use how to learn language, how to learn social science, how to make science and maths. So all those things, if we apply, it will definitely it will help the people to understand their guna and then continue their education. And finally, the economic model also should be, we have to think about half a day schooling, Can we make it affordable or free, or and how do we convert schools into skill development? As I told you, we have schools with 1200 square feet, 1500 square feet, 1800 square feet in main road. How do we make them to understand skill development is important, not passing 10th standard or 12th standard is important. So that to reach that level, we have to work out the economic model also. If it is economically attractive, people will definitely latch on to it. And in future also, if you are able to show, like if a department says you don't need to pass 10th standard or 12th standard to come into a clerical grade, automatically people 1 to 8 grade, the importance of passing exams will go. And teachers training, this will go hand in hand. If we are able to define this grade 1 to 12 properly with this philosophy, the teacher development programs also can incorporate these methodologies, and they can be coming out of the teacher development programs with a proper methodology. They already know how to teach to the students, reach the students. So if our content, our philosophy, our methodology, if everything is in line, the teacher development also will be very, very good in terms of their approach to the learning, their own learning, as well as they make the students to learn. That will help the develop the overall individual, family, and then society. So with this, I would like to conclude. So if anybody interested, can reach out to me so that I can each area, any area. If you are interested in social science, I can give more details about it. If you are interested in language learning, I can give more details. Methodology, how to use, I can give more details. Or technological solution, we can sit and work out a broad technology solution. And if somebody can work with me or build a team, or even Gary, if you are interested, we can look at the details of the technological solution
Sure, sure.
because we are from a technology area. So if you are
Yes.
able
So
to
I
detail out one solution, maybe we can take it forward.
I think you have covered a lot of things because the number of gaps we identified are so broad. I don't think we can solve it in one shot.
Yes,
So your the framework and platforms that you're talking about covers a lot of it. Even if you can bring some part of that into action,
yes, yes,
like you said, somebody from the education department or somebody who has an influence on shaping education, if they can start taking some of these steps, I think that would be, I would call this whole exercise a success.
yes,
So let's hope it reaches somebody and we can see some of it coming into reality soon.
yes,
But yeah, I'll probably take up your offer on building technology for this. But let's see if somebody
yes,
shows us some interest on this area.
yeah, yeah.
But otherwise,
Read,
fantastic stuff. There is so much details here. I don't think one episode makes any justice to this. But let's probably wait for some interest from viewers. And once we start a conversation on these topics, maybe we can go deeper into each of these individual slides. But
yeah.
fantastic.
So what parallelly I am doing without any government or anything, I am trying to take this philosophy to the relevant people, at least in language learning or in the social science learning. Can we do something
Mhm.
so we can start and proposing it to the government, like having a theater technique or storytelling technique and creating a content and making the demonstrations of it. How can we? I'm approaching the theater people and some people whom I know in my circle and trying to motivate them to come up with a content with this philosophy in mind so that they can guide the teachers to take up this content in different schools. Then probably we can take it to the government. So that is
I
a
think,
very small step I have taken. But
yeah.
as you told, larger step, probably we have to go through the different people.
Yeah. I think there is so many things to be done. It'll be hard to prioritize and focus on just one or two things.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
viewers, whoever is watching, make sure you reach out to Arvinda. Maybe you can have much more deeper discussions on any of the topics that was discussed here. And if you are in an influential position, maybe you can change society to build a better world. So yeah, please reach out to Arvinda and make sure you go through the slide decks. I think it'll be shared on Google Drive and we'll be dropping a link to that in the description. So with that, Arvinda, I will close this episode and hopefully we'll continue this series with more interesting topics once we get a little more interest from viewers. Any
Yes.
parting words, Arvinda?
Yeah. As I told you, my goal was we need to come up with a solution where our future generation won't crib like us. Like, okay, our education system is bad. Nobody should be talking about that, and we should have a very robust system, and future generation will take a benefit out of it.
Absolutely.
So my grandchildren will be happy that my grandfather worked on this area and provided some solutions. Whether my
Absolutely.
name comes or not, at least they should be enjoying the system.
Absolutely. I understand and I truly appreciate the spirit. Uh, so with that, I'll wrap this up. Thank you,
Yeah,
Arvinda. Thank you
yeah.
for, I think, uh, sharing quite a bit of knowledge and time you spent on this topic. I'm sure it took you years to accumulate all of those things. So thank you for taking time to share this.
Thanks, Giri. Thanks a lot for viewers. Hopefully, it reaches the relevant people and I get some feedback. I'll try to publish this. Some are edited and then posted it.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I'll try to do that. You can also do that and then we can publish it.
Yeah. Okay, then.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Arvinda.
Yeah.
Hope to see
Thank,
you in next episode
yeah.
soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Giri. Thanks a lot, everybody.